So today's question is describe the addition of vector by head to tail rule. How can we add the vector quantities by head to tail rule? We cannot add the vector quantities just like the scalar quantities like 2 plus 2. So there are the specific rules to add the vector quantities, like in this case is head to tail rule. It is basically the graphical method to add two or more vectors, or you can say the vector quantities. So for example, we have two vectors A and B. Like this is the vector A, which is a specific direction and magnitude, which is very important, both direction and magnitude in vector quantities. And then this is the vector B in this direction and the different magnitude. So the question is, how can we add these two vectors to each other? To add these two vectors, we have to use the head to tail rule. In this case, we have to place the first vector in the same direction as it has, and then we have to place the vector B in the direction in which the vector B actually has. Then we get the resultant vector by the tail of first vector to the head of second vector, and it is denoted by R. Let we have the vectors A and B. To add them, join the tail of vector B with the head of vector A. And to get the resultant, we have to join the tail of vector A with the head of vector B. Basically, we have to place the first vector and then the second vector with the first vector, like that the head of first vector meet the tail of the second one. To get the resultant, we have to draw the resultant vector like that the tail of first vector meet the head of second vector. In that case, we get the resultant vector, which is denoted by R. The line gives the magnitude of the resultant vector, while the arrow gives its direction. To get the direction of the resultant vector is from the tail of vector A to the head of vector B. Now the explanation is that it is commutative property. What is the commutative property? In commutative, we can say that we can swap the quantities in addition, but the result will be the same. Like A plus B will be equal to B plus A, just like the scalar quantities 2 plus 4 is equal to 6 and 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. In both cases, the result is the same, and the vector is also is a commutative. A plus B is equal to B plus A. For example, we have in this case A and then B, but no, in another case B and A. In both cases, you can say that the resultant vector's direction and magnitude is the same. So we can say that A plus B is equal to B plus A. In another way, we can say that the addition of vector is commutative. It means its result didn't change. The result is the same for any order of addition. Hence, the vector addition is commutative. Let's see this head to tail rule with example just like this one. Let we have a vector in this direction. Let's suppose we give the name of this vector to vector A. Then we have another vector in this direction. Its name is B. So how can we add them? Remember the head to tail rule. First, we have to place the first vector. It can be anyone. It can be the B vector or A. It doesn't matter. So we draw the first vector in the same direction and magnitude. Let's suppose it is the vector A. Then what we have to do for the second vector, we have to draw the second vector in the same direction as it is actual, but we get the tail of second vector to the head of first vector. This is vector A, this is vector B. To get the resultant, what we can do according to the head to tail rule, we have to join the tail of first vector with the head of second vector, the tail of first vector to the head of second vector. In that case, we will get the resultant vector and denoted by r. We can also change its order, like we can draw the vector b first and then vector a, and then we get the resultant vector from the tail of first vector to the head of second vector. You can see that in both cases, this is resultant vector which is denoted by r, and this is vector b, and this is vector a. So we can see that in both cases the resultant vector is the same. Its direction is same and its magnitude is also same. So we can say that a plus b is equal to b plus a, and in another way we can say that the addition of vectors is commutative. So in this way we can add the two vector quantities by head to tail rule.